Here I would be remiss if I did not very quickly brag on this school. We're here to talk about serving others, and it is estimated that U.S. nonprofit organizations over the next decade need to attract some 640,000 new leaders. And I'm proud that our Bush School trains and motivates leaders who are ready to step in and advance the work in the nonprofit fields that inspires all of us here today. In fact, I'm just so proud of our Bush School that I hesitate to mention that the only stain on our school's reputation came a few years ago when we lost a critical softball game in the coveted Armadillo Cup against the LBJ School over in Austin. Bob Gates was our dean then. He was our dean then. I know Bob has a lot of fans here, and I really do hate to say this when he isn't here to defend himself. But frankly, I was disappointed in Bob over that loss. And I hate to dwell on that one softball game, but I thought some of our players were out of position, and the batting lineup needed some tweaking. Okay. There you go. Look at this. Okay. Since then, he's gone to even bigger and better things and made all of us in the Aggie family very proud in the process. So please, you already welcomed it. Welcome back home to Aggie land, our superb Secretary of Defense, our own Bob Gates. Our president sounded the call to service. We cannot allow any idle hands, President-elect Obama said this past January. Everybody's got to be involved. Everybody's going to have to pitch in. Once in office, both the President and First Lady have followed through by launching their United We Serve campaign, calling on all Americans to serve our communities and be a part of building a better future for our country. Our 44th President is absolutely right that there isn't a more important time than now for us all to get involved. So I salute the President for his leadership in this issue, and Barbara and I are delighted to join all of you in welcoming him now to Texas A&M University. Ladies and gentlemen, the 44th President of the United States, President Barack Obama.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, howdy, Aggies. All right. But that's okay. I am still thrilled to be introduced by this man whose vision of service we celebrate today, and whose life of service is an inspiration to all of us. And much to his likely embarrassment, I'm going to talk a little more about the singular nature and impact of that service in a minute. But before I do, I'd like to recognize several other people joining us today, starting with President Bush's extraordinary wife, Mrs. Barbara Bush, who's... Where'd she go? Madam First Lady. There she is over there. As we all know, Mrs. Bush has an impressive record of service herself, particularly her tremendous work to promote family literacy across this country. And so we are very, very grateful for everything that she's done on behalf of our nation. We have our Secretary of Defense here, Secretary Bob Gates, who I think you know a little bit about. He has served for 4 decades under 8 presidents with integrity, with candor, with an undying commitment to keep this nation safe. So, I can see why President Bush chose to locate his library at this school. What you all are doing right here is precisely what he was talking about when he called for those 1,000 points of light and became the first president to create a White House office devoted solely to promoting volunteerism. It's a vision that's changed lives across this country, including that of a young woman who went to work for an organization called Public Allies to prepare young people for public service careers, an organization initially funded by the Bush administration. And her experience there inspired her to devote her own life to serving others, and that young woman happens to be my wife, Michelle Obama. And I've been instructed to convey her gratitude today as well. But here's the thing. George Bush isn't just a president who promoted the ethic of service long before it was fashionable. He's a citizen whose life has embodied that ethic. From his daring service as a Navy pilot during World War II, enlisting the day he turned 18, to his time in Congress, at the CIA, and as UN ambassador, vice president, and president, he easily could have chosen a life of comfort and privilege. And instead, time and again, when offered a chance to serve, he seized it. It was second nature to him, the continuation of a proud family tradition that he and Mrs. Bush clearly passed on to their children and grandchildren, and one which he's carried on throughout his quote-unquote retirement. How's that working out, Ms. Bush? Spends it working tirelessly to help others, without fanfare or any expectation or desire for recognition. Last year, applications to City Year tripled, and the Peace Corps had 3 applicants for every position. AmeriCorps applications were up 400% in just the first 4 months of this year alone. Having come of age in serious times, y'all don't have a lot of patience for pettiness and bickering and the worn divisions of the past. Rather than arguing about whether or how we should do something, you'd rather just go out there and get it done. As president, it's my mission to put that passion and commitment to work, to build on the efforts of President Bush, Clinton, George W. Bush, and others to engage not just young people, but people of all ages and walks of life to serve their communities. That's why I was proud to sign the Edward M. Kennedy Serve America Act, expanding AmeriCorps and Senior Corps, and other programs that give people a chance to give back. See, in the end, service binds us to each other, and to our communities and our country in a way that nothing else can. That's how we become more fully American. That's what it means to be American. It's always been the case in this country, that notion that we invest ourselves, our time, our energy, our vision, our purpose into the very fabric of this nation. That's the essence of our liberty, that we give back freely. You don't have to devote your entire career to service, though I hope that many of the students here will. But I'm asking you to have a public service mindset. I'm asking that no matter where you live or what job you do or what obstacles you face, you're always looking for ways to make service part of your life. And that ultimately is the idea at the heart of President Bush's vision, that each of us has a role to play and all of us have something to contribute. He didn't call for one blinding light shining from Washington. Right? He didn't just call for a few bright lights from the biggest nonprofits, but he called for a vast galaxy of people and institutions working together to solve problems in their own backyard. And today, Today, 20 years later, think for a minute about the impact that he's had. Think of the thousands of people and organizations who've been named points of light, the countless others he inspired to do their part. Think of all the people they touched and the lives they changed, and all those who were helped who went on to help others. That's the extraordinary ripple effect that one life lived humbly with love for one's country and in service to one's fellow citizens can have. May we each strive to make that kind of difference with our own lives. Thank you, President Bush. Thank you, Texas A&M. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. He easily could have chosen a life of comfort and privilege. And instead, time and again, when offered a chance to serve, he seized it. It was second nature to him, the continuation of a proud family tradition that he and Mrs. Bush clearly passed on to their children and grandchildren.